the two of us as private individuals. It was more about every Tesla driver, every individual who drives electric cars. So we were just the two crazy people who had the guts to do what we did, and the time to do it. But that's about it. Like, so we're no stars, no fancy people. We're just normal people like everyone else in the room. We live in Baden, Switzerland. That's where we started the tour. We are Tesla clients since January 2016. And we always have been travel enthusiasts and hotel lovers. So basically, what you have to imagine is that in the times where we did not have a Tesla, we worked quite hard. Both of us had a full-time job, no kids, but we worked a lot. So at the weekends, we used to take a time out and travel to some nice place in order to recharge our own batteries and get energy back for the next week. And then at some point, we had to have a car, but we didn't know what type of car would be working for us. And what we were looking for, there's a little list what we had been looking for, but men and women are sometimes very different when it comes to, you know, what kind of car we want to have. So there were differences, and we didn't find one that was matching both our needs, at least not for a long time. So we started looking for one in 2013, and it took us until 2015 till we found it. And that happened at the Geneva Motor Show in Switzerland. And as we all know today, that's what we found there, our Tesla Model S. So basically, Nicole spotted the car and said, hey, what's that? It looks great. Let's go over there. And we didn't even know about an electric car at that point. So I was myself very unsure, would that work? How does it work? Is there enough charging possibility, et cetera, et cetera. So all those things we thought about, probably every one of us thought about when we first bought an electric car. But there was, and we got it. And then also Tesla's mission was something we liked immediately. So we all know that little sentence here. And that was also part of what we tried to support with our project, because we felt while we didn't have kids ourselves, that planet has to have a future for the next generation. And if we continue with what we have done so far, and trust me, I was not a very sustainable person myself in the past, so before we did that, but we were thinking about, you know, what could we do to make a difference? So when we had the first test drive in the Tesla, what happened was that the car, as we all know, would tell you where you can charge the car. So no problem with that. But what the car didn't tell us is where could we charge our own batteries like we used to do at a weekend travel at the same time. So would a hotel that pops up in your Tesla really be a nice place? Or is it just some crappy place next to the highway? So we were looking for those places, and you know, those two questions came up: where can we charge the car as well as our own batteries at the same time? Like, we knew the charging infrastructure was great. Even back then, it's now even more better. So that never was a problem. Actually, don't see the mouse. Okay. And then, like, we thought about how could we start this? So we were thinking about that, you know, a platform maybe where we could show places to other people that are nice, where you can charge the car and your own batteries and drive there for a weekend trip. But then again, we had our jobs. We didn't, you know, we didn't come from that sort of business, and we did not want to make a recommendation to someone if we hadn't been to that place. So we said, okay, if we can't go there ourselves because we had our jobs and everything else, we cannot do the project to start with. But then this happened. So in 2017, about 1.5 years after we got a Tesla, we had an invite from our friends that you also see on the picture here, Armin and his wife, to join them for a Tesla factory tour, and also a Model 3 pre-presentation. And Armin had that calendar from the Tesla Owners Club in Switzerland with him. He didn't tell us about it before, but he just had it, and he said, well, I would like to give it to Franz. So I talked to some people, and we managed to get behind the stage, and he could hand over the calendar. Now, while Franz was on stage before, he held a presentation, and in that presentation, he was talking about why he joined Tesla. Now, as you know, Franz is the chief designer from Tesla, so he's responsible for all those nice cars that we can enjoy. And a lot of people told him not to join Tesla when he started. He told them, or he was told not to join Tesla because he could lose his money, he would lose credibility, etc., etc., etc. But he decided he still wanted to do it because he wanted to have that freedom to just do what he believes in and to design a car like he wanted it, and not some, CEO tells him that the car would need to look like. So he decided to join it. As we know today, it was the right decision. So we took something away from that meeting, and basically in that same night, it was clear to us that if we want to make that, let's say, website or that collection of nice places for more people to enjoy and to get connected to electric cars, we need to find them ourselves. So in that very night, we sat in a hotel after the event back in San Francisco then, and Nicole asked me, shall we not do it? And I was like, do what? What do you mean? It's like, yeah, why don't we travel the world and find those places? And I was like, what? You want to travel the world and find those places? And what do we, I asked her the same question. So what do we do with our jobs? How do we handle it? And I was just like, well, we quit our jobs, we just do it. And we decided that night, okay, we do it. That was in June 2017. And then we came back home with that, idea in our heads and in our hearts. So we started to organize it and to plan everything. And then in December 2017, we quit our jobs. And that was a very tough moment, especially for me, because I was in the middle of my career. Usually I'm not a shy person. And when that day when I had to tell my boss that I'm going to quit, it was very tough, because I left a team behind that I liked. I liked to work with those people. It was good folks, and we had good fun there. But I also knew that I have a chance to do something very special. And if I don't do it, I will regret that at some point. So I sat there with my boss, and I couldn't open my mouth for 5 minutes, believe it or not. And he kept asking me, Rolf, what are you trying to tell me? Until I told him, and he said, Rolf, are you sure you want to do this? I mean, when you come back, you're going to have nothing, and maybe all doors are closed. So are you really, really sure? So he tried to, make sure that I'm really knowing what I'm doing. Maybe I didn't know at the time what that really means. I just knew I had to. And now today, I know it was the right decision to make. But it was not always easy, I can tell you that. And I'm going to tell you, I'll give you an insight later on, what to expect on such a trip. And not only a trip, because a trip would have meant it's a vacation, and it was sometimes like a vacation, but not every single minute. But the picture you see here was a very nice moment, because what we did on the site, we told Tesla about the idea. And for a long time, Tesla in Switzerland didn't react. They were like, yeah, okay, let's see what you do. And when we told them we quit our jobs, 2 weeks later, they gave us a call, and they said, hang on, you're really doing this? So you're really going to travel the world in a Tesla? And we were like, yeah. 2 weeks later, that call came, and they asked whether they could send us a camera crew. Hearing about that event where you see the picture from, that was our farewell event. The hall that you see is actually, it was below the flat we used to live in. And that hall is from ABB, so Asia Brown Boveri, a Swiss company, Swedish company in the meantime, but they used to build electric transformers in that hall, which was right below our flat. And so everything kind of like, fitted together. It was, we privately organized that event together with the Tesla Club. The people from the club with the Model Access came to wave us goodbye. It was really amazing. Friends, family were there, and Tesla and the Tesla camera crew was there also. And the next thing I wanna show you is that little video that Tesla has done, which is on all Tesla websites globally. It's not online in the United States. It was very hard to work with marketing at the time to get it online, and pretty much what they did is they put it online wherever we, the next country we reached, it was online there, or we made it to their online kind of like list. but in the US, it never happened. But that was at a time where marketing was probably already kind of like undergoing certain circumstances, as we all know now. But let me show you the video. I hope quality is good enough. And
yeah, if not, I'll find it. I'm sorry.
No worries. No worries. If you don't see it, okay, the link is still on our website, and then you can watch it anytime. But let's give it a try. Giving up everything that you used to do, your jobs, your life, your flat, that was actually very hard.
3 days. 3 days to go.
We need to pack our stuff. We need to say goodbye to friends, plus the travel planning itself. So it's really a lot of work. We arranged a farewell party close to where we live. Yeah, and after that, we wave everybody goodbye, and that will be our kickoff to a journey all around the globe. Tesla was the entry point for us, and it was like buying a Tesla meant for us. It opened the door to act more sustainably. We wanted to do something. We wanted to tell the world that actually buying such a car can change not only your own life, but much more than this. So we're trying to combine travel and the sustainability aspect of the car itself by sharing inspiration and giving inspiration to people. Hello guys, today we're in Rosa. We want to spread the word that everybody actually can do something. At the end of the day, you need to start somewhere. The journey will take as long as the journey will take. If things work out well, and if we find good things to talk about and to let the world know about, it may take forever. So that was the little video. I know a lot of people, like in Switzerland, when they saw it the first time, they found it very emotional. When I saw it the first time, I started crying, no joke. I think Tesla did a great job there, and it's really the story. This is really what it's about. So we did this in order to get more people to switch to electric cars and to change their lifestyle. And we also, like, we had some goals that I want to show you now, 4 goals that we were trying to deliver to. First thing was inspire more people to drive electric cars. The next was trying to find better options, because we believe that only if you know an option, you can choose it. If you don't know about it, how can how could we have bought a Tesla not knowing about a Tesla? Impossible. So tell people about better options. Support a more sustainable lifestyle overall. And I can tell you one thing, sustainability is a word that I like and hate at the same time, because so often it's used in an incorrect way. So often you find stuff like green painting and people, promising they would do very sustainable things and they don't. And it's a shame, because it's important that we do it. In the meantime, I even did a course at the university in Cambridge for business sustainability management, because I wanted to add facts to what I have seen on the journey. I did that during like the first part of Corona. So I think it's important to really change something and do something. And the only way of doing it is doing it. Most people keep sitting at home and don't do nothing. But I think if you want to change the world, it doesn't need much, but that little bit that we can all do is something we have to do. And from the very first minute, we wanted to publish the world's first EV travel guide. Indeed, the idea about the guide was in my head from day one when I sat in the Tesla the first time. The very first minute, it was there like this. And now we have it, but I'll talk about that a little later. One thing worth mentioning as well, as I talk about sustainability, we had one partner that supported us a lot, and that was MyClimate. MyClimate is a non-profit organization in Switzerland. And what they did for us is that they compensated the complete CO2 footprint that our journey left behind. So that means our living, the stays in hotels, the energy we used for the trip when charging the car, the flights, of course, the ferries that we had to use on our way because of, of Of course, we cannot swim to New Zealand, for example. That's not possible. So all of that was covered. So at the end of the day, the whole trip was CO2 neutral. And I think compensating when you use something, it's, you know, the least thing you can do, if nothing else, but that is always an option. It's better than doing nothing. So I'm very happy that My Climate did that for us, which is why I mentioned it as a possibility for anyone else to do something similar. You know, when you jump on a plane the next time or whatever you do, that's a good choice. So what happened since we started? So we left our home in April 2018, and we finalized the trip in December 2019. So we were on the road for 20 months in total, quite a long time. We traveled over 66,000 kilometers, which is about 40,500 miles. That's not that much compared to like your day-to-day driving to work mileage that you would do. But a lot of times, as you see later, we did a round trip. So for private kind of like vacation miles, it's quite a lot, quite extensive, and that does not cover the flights. So that's only the mileage that we did in the car. We used 9 different Teslas, so not just our own. The reason for that is that we used our own Tesla, obviously in Europe, but in the other continents, Tesla owners from the Tesla Owners Clubs, they gave us their cars to use. Some of them for very little money compared to what we would have had to pay when we would need to rent the car. Others, Mark in Australia, for example, gave us his car for completely free for 3 months because he liked the project so much. So that was very generous, and without that support, it would not have happened. It wouldn't have been possible. It would simply been too expensive if we would have had to rent those 8 Teslas. No way we could have done it. So I'm very grateful for that. Believe it or not, we had not a single incident on the whole trip, so nothing bad about the car. Everything worked perfectly fine, and we drove in Model S's, Model X's, and Model 3s. We visited 18 countries in total, and we saw every Tesla Owners Club on our way. So every club that had time to meet us, we met. We visited and tested over 238 destinations, meaning hotels. You will find on our website that not that many places are actually listed there. And the reason for that is that if we didn't like a place, we didn't list it, because we said only if we enjoyed a place, we would list it, and no one, you know, could have bought our opinion or something like that. It's really just, we tested it, we tried it. And we always said people like hotels could invite us to come, but they cannot buy us. And there was even like one hotel in Italy, for example, that is not on the list. It was one of the most expensive and poshest hotels I've ever seen in my life. But the quality was so bad that we told the management we cannot do it, and they agreed. So they even understood why. So we thought it's better to be authentic instead of, you know, taking any chance you get. So that's the reason why you find a smaller number on our website.
Hey, Ralph, a couple of questions in the chat. One is actually not exactly a question. It's from Corinne Breed, who mentions that you used her Model 3 at some point in your trip. And Becky Blanchard has a question about what was your favorite model? What was your favorite car?
That's a good question. Well, today my favorite would be, if I would buy a new car today, would be Model 3. Respectively a Model Y, but they're not available in Europe now. So you're further ahead there in America. But I still have the Model S, the same Model S we did the trip with, and I still enjoy it because it was such a reliable car and it's very spacious. So I love my Model S, and I will probably not sell it for a very long time. As long as it's rolling, and it does a great job there. So for me, either one of the two. If I could drive the Cybertruck in Europe, that would be fantastic. But for European roads, at least, you know, the one that I've seen is far too big. But I drove in it, so I know how that feels as well. But I'll tell you more about that later.
Yeah, Ralph, it's actually Ryan Levinson whose car you were using, right?
Yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Hi, Ryan.
Yeah. He signed that to somebody else's account, so that's why I didn't know who he was.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool. Ryan is actually, he used to work for Tesla, and now he's got his own YouTube channel, so he's a guy to follow.
Well, if you want to follow him, Ryan, you should sign on with your own account so people know who you are, buddy.
Okay, do you have more questions or should I continue?
The only other question was really on planning. How many days ahead did you plan your stays at hotels? I mean, did you plan this trip out long on a long-term basis, or were you kind of winging week to week kind of thing?
So in the video, you may have seen the wall with all those little, stickers and that planning there. So we had, like, for every country, we had a huge poster on our wall, and Nicole did a great job. And she's like the travel genius planning person in the background. Like I'm more the stage guy. She's more the background person, so to say. So she did all that planning, and the whole flat was looking like that. So we had monster posters everywhere. But we did not plan every single hotel. That we didn't do, because we said we want to have the freedom to decide on our way where we would stay. So we probably knew about, let's say, 2 weeks in advance where we will be. 1 or 2 weeks, something like that, not more. Because otherwise, if you plan too long on such a trip, and something goes wrong, then the whole plan is not working anymore. You have to cancel everything, and for that reason, and to have that flexibility, 2 weeks.
We just had another question pop, which what were some of your favorite daytime activities along the way, especially in New Zealand?
Especially in New Zealand. Well, I mean,
that's from
where do I start? I mean, first of all, New Zealand, it's not very fair, because New Zealand is like the most beautiful country I've seen on this planet. I'm not kidding. It's like a little paradise. Those 2 islands, they just sit there, and you arrive, and every day you wake up to something completely new, and nature is so, I don't know, it's so clean, and like the air, the water, the birds, like everything that is around you is just, it blows your mind. It really blows your mind. Plus the people are very friendly as well. So John, who's on that call, like on the meeting as well, his family, like John he's a Tesla Owners Club president from New Zealand, but his family, I consider them my family, because we even stayed at his house for, I think, 2 weeks, if I'm not wrong. So we had a lot of time there, because we had to have a rest. Because what we did was, as I said, or I was trying to say, it wasn't always a vacation. So our days were very structured, and there was work involved as well, but I will get to that a little later. I should have done more sport. So I gained a lot of weight during the trip, because I have not enough sport, and we ate too much, and we drank too much too. But I would say, like, sharing a good time with good people. That was my favorite thing to do.
Great. Okay.
Can I go on?
You can go. Yep.
Okay. All right. So coming back to the sustainability part, because what happened was that basically when we started the trip, we didn't have a clue about what does sustainability mean to us. Now, what I put together on that slide is just a small summary to give an idea what we came up with during the trip or after the trip. Something that came to our minds and became more and more clear as long, the more we traveled, basically. So sustainability has many different phases. That's really true, because it's not only being the green person. That's not the only thing that's important. It's also very sustainable if you look at yourself, if you try to make sure that you fill your own batteries again, so that you come back to your work life or your private life and are not always stressed out. That's also some kind of sustainability, and it's important to do that. So sustainability has also like 4 different aspects: social, cultural, ecological, and economical, not to forget. And there needs to be a balance of those in order to, let the whole thing work, let the system work. And one of the most important things is that everyone can really contribute to that. And sometimes it is simply as easy as buying a new car. So like for us, sustainability started with buying a Tesla. And that was a more sustainable choice to make than any other car. So drive an electric car, boom, spot on, you already behave more sustainable. And that's how easy it can be. So it's not always like the big thing in the background, but if every one of us does something small, we achieve quite a lot. And not always is the biggest plan the best, but those small plans are really powerful if all of us do it. So therefore, there's a message, a little sentence I would like to share with you that I came up with, and that's also in the book as a statement. Acting more sustainably should not stop with driving an electric car, but it's a good start. And that's also why the book that we've done is not, it's not even for you, like, I shouldn't say it that way, it's for you as well, but it's also for, especially for those people who are not yet there, who do not yet drive an electric car, because everybody goes on vacation. So everybody likes that and can connect with that. And we wanted to bring those two worlds together. So the part where people go on vacation and then electric cars, and bring that together, because when people have vacation, they have the time to think about new things like an electric car. And that's what we try to achieve. So the whole thing is really for those who are about to switch, but not yet there. But we hope that with what we have done, we can, you know, guide them into the right direction, tell them, look, it's very simple, easy to do it. So just jump on and get your Tesla and go for it. As you can imagine, now I want to show you some pictures from the trip as well, because I was talking about the backgrounds, but you should see a little bit of what we had the chance to see. So it was a road trip. So therefore, that's where I'm starting. And of course, I'm starting at Europe, because in Europe, the whole thing took place first before we came to other continents. So I just show you some pictures of roads and sites that we saw along the way. That was in Spain. Also in Spain, could also be in America, looks very similar to an extent, although those are olive trees. This is Portugal. Portugal was the biggest surprise for me in Europe as a country. I never had them, you know, in my mind with regard to making a vacation in Portugal until I've been there. Then everything changed, because like in New Zealand, people there are very friendly, very open. Like we were invited by the club, an older couple invited us, and there were about 20, 30 people. The tables were filled with food, like so much food, we couldn't eat it all up. I have a picture of that later as well, with all those people from that day. So very friendly, very open. And the country is just beautiful, just beautiful. This picture is not a very good picture if you look at it from a picture perspective, but there's a story to this picture that I would like to share with you, and that's why it's there. What you see in the background there is an eucalyptus forest. And when we bought the Tesla, we knew it's quiet. And that day we had both like our windows down, and we drove through that eucalyptus tree forest, and we smelled, like we had the eucalyptus smell in our car, and we had clean air, and we had no noises other than the birds sitting on those trees and, you know, twittering away. So that was very cool. It was very cool. It was a very nice moment that we would not have experienced with a normal car. So that's again something about electric cars that you know, that, but people who don't have ever driven an electric car wouldn't know. So it's worth sharing that. Europe has a lot to offer. Culturally, it's very different. So in the United States, depending on where you drive, there are differences, but at the end of the day, the US is huge and it's big, and you're one country and everyone is united. In Europe, everything is quite small compared to the US, and also nature and the environment and the culture is very different. So I drive 1 hour and I'm in a different country. This is Italy, a typical scene in Tuscany. By the way, all those pictures are made with an iPhone. So no special camera, no special effects. That's just how it was in the morning when we passed that little site. Same here. There's in Piedmont in Italy. We spent a long time in Italy, the first country that we visited after Switzerland, because it was so beautiful and the food is very good and the wine too, I must say. And that picture was taken again with the iPhone. Nicole just stopped and I took the phone, hold it outside the window, clicked, and we continued. And this was the result. It's one of the pictures I like most of the 77,000 pictures and videos that we have done on the trip. Yes, safari, that is Denmark. And they had a safari park. So we went with our Tesla into the safari park. And that's not the, like, you know, that animal is not the animal I was scared of the most. There was also a rhino, and that rhino, that kind of like worried me. But nothing happened, luckily. This is in Norway. And on the trip we had to make a decision there because we also wanted to go to Scotland and the UK in general, but we didn't, because we knew that by the time we make it to Norway, snow would come up. So we had to be early and we had to make a decision whether we go to Norway or to the UK. And as we knew the UK already, but had never been in Norway, we decided to go to Norway. And as you can see, snow was already coming in and we had our summer tires on. And Norway is also a very, very beautiful country. That is the Atlantic Ocean Road in Norway, which is like this. So you drive above the sea, basically. It feels like a roller coaster when you drive on that road. It's nice when the weather is nice, but with that weather, what happens is that the waves sometimes get so high that they swap over the street and you know, hit your car. So that's pretty cool. And we have these fellas. Probably you would only see such a road sign in Norway. Anyone an idea what that is? Troll. Yeah, so they have trolls in Norway, and that's so-called Trollstigen. Trollstigen is a road that goes above the mountains, but the road was closed, so we had to turn around because there was already so much snow that you couldn't go and couldn't use that road anymore, which is why we had to turn around and take a different way that day. So the trolls were already active. And that was a picture taken in Germany on the way back. It was already winter by then, so winter 2018. And I like that picture a lot because we had a lot to look back at after those first months on the road. And we came home for Christmas and it looked like that, because we had a little stopover then at home. But as I tried to say before, like the most important thing on such a trip is not only what you see, it's also who you meet and who you talk to, because those connections, and I consider myself lucky because now I have friends all over the place in the whole world, people that I had not known before, that I have never met before, but people that I can talk every day when I want, and I know I have a friend on the line, and it's the other way around, it's the same thing. And that's the best thing that can happen to a person in one's life. So I'm very happy about that. And of course, as I said, we met with every single Tesla Owners Clubs in Europe that was existing at the time. France didn't have one when we traveled through France, but every other club we met with. And of course, we met some very interesting people. So yes, we've been to Paris. From a Tesla perspective, it was so la. There was no nice hotel in Paris. So yes, we stayed at a destination charter hotel, but it was not a hotel that's worth putting on a website, because you could pick any hotel that had a Tesla destination charter, but they were just like a bed and a breakfast and nothing special. So we didn't put them on the website. But on the right-hand side, that's Il Palufo, like the owner, Luca. He's one of the presidents of the Tesla Owners Clubs in Italy. So we met him. He's also a hotel owner. We met some Italian police officers, and they were very astonished by the car. They loved it a lot, but they did only allow us to make a picture with them from the back. We were not allowed to, have a picture with their faces, but they were smiling at me when we took that picture. You don't see that, but I smile, you see that. But they really loved the car. They had never seen a Tesla before. Here on the left-hand side, on the top left, that's Rafael de Mestre. Rafael, some of you might know him. He traveled the world in a Tesla already twice in 80 days. So he did something completely different because he's that 80 days around the world person. He travels like through areas I would not have traveled through. But he also has a different target with that. So the message is a different one, but it was very nice meeting him. He also organizes a electric car race series in Europe. So he's a very nice fella. He works in consulting, and then he spends all his money on those events. Really cool person. On the left-hand side, on the lower side, that's Alex. Alex is a friend of mine. He's a YouTube star in Europe, in Germany. His channel is only about electric cars, and we coincidentally met in a hotel. Very nice fella, and also he moderates an electric car show as well on TV. So very nice guy, very active in the EV community. On the right-hand side, that's a handshake with the Finnish Tesla Owners Club president, Mr. Korlonen, Kari Korlonen. He's also politically active in Finland and is really fighting forward to get the EVs more and more onto our streets. So that was very nice. And as you can tell, like sometimes we met just one person from a Tesla club, but sometimes we met quite some more. So on the left-hand side, we met with Spanish Tesla Owners Club on the top. We met with some guys in the Netherlands that I still have contact with. On the right-hand side, we have the Belgium club on the top. They had a golf tournament that day and invited us to join them, which is very nice. Byron is a very good guy. They would have hosted like the next president's meeting, which was supposed to take place last year, but as we know, due to Corona, it couldn't take place. And on the right-hand side, on the bottom, that's the crowd that was with us the day in Portugal. So that's a Portuguese Tesla Owners Club. And the couple behind me, that's the couple who invited us for the dinner that I mentioned. And all those people were there, and we ate together and had fun together and drank good Portuguese wine together. So it was really, really cool. Really, really good bunch of people. Here on the left-hand side, on the top, that's the Tesla Owners Club from Norway, and the president in the middle. Sweden was the smallest, or the first and biggest fan, as I call her, in the middle. She has a little sticker on her car from our tour with our logo, as you can see. And on the right-hand side, there was the Christmas party from the Austrian Tesla Owners Club.
Hey, Ralph, you do have one question out there. Did you ever spend the night in the car? Did you ever sleep overnight in the car?
Yes.
How'd that work?
Yes. That's part of the Australian story, but I can tell you now. So what happened was we had, I told you Mark Sanford from the club in Australia, he gave us his car for free for 3 months. Now, if someone gives me his Tesla, $140,000 Tesla for 3 months for free, rest assured that we just don't take it. We wouldn't, we wanted to give something back as well. So I organized a dream case for Mark, and we had that dream case with us on the trip in Australia. So of course we slept in the car as well and tried the dream case as what I would say the most flexible hotel on our trip. Yeah. So we did that, and after the trip, he got it from us as present. But we only slept in the car one night. I must admit that, because our mission was to find nice hotels and not to do camping. But we definitely wanted to try it ourselves, so we did try it. And even in the book, it's included in the book, so it's shown in the book. There's a picture of that night, and it's quite cool. I like it. I really like it. I still have to get a dream case for myself. I don't have one here. But I know William who does it, who produces those dream cases. So I just need to order one as soon as I can. Well, once I have a job again. Yeah.
Or when you sell more books.
Well. So yeah, on our way, of course, a lot of superchargers, all of them worked fine. And there was not a single one we had to wait. I know in the United States, you have sometimes the situation where you have to wait at a supercharger to get connected. But on our trip, not a single time. And we saw quite some funny installations of destination chargers. That's at a hotel in Spain. And the story there is when we arrived, like a lot of hotels, especially in Europe, but I think in the rest of the world, it's quite similar. At least nowadays, every hotel needs to pay the full bill of installing these. At the beginning, Tesla supported the hotels more. So sometimes, the hardware was for free, but they still had to pay for the installation. That hotel invested quite some money to install the superchargers. And for 1 year that they had not a single guest with a Tesla. So we were the very first ones. That meant that we were also the first ones to try it. And it didn't work. So we helped them to, manage the installation with their electrician. And when we left, they were quite happy because now it worked. And I hope that since we have been there, a lot of more people visited them in the meantime. But all hotels who do this, they all do something for us. So I think it's worth to choose one of those hotels when we travel to another place, another city. Here's a little outlook to a book. So we have done the world's first EV travel guide. It's a 220 pages book. It's 1.25 kilos or something like, how much is that in pound? Like 1 pound, a little bit more than 1 pound, right? Something like that. So it's huge. It has like 223 pictures in it. It's a massive coffee table style book, but let's talk about that a little later because I have something else for you, as I was asked to not only talk about that, but to show you also some places. And that brings me, there's a book, John shows it. But I also want to show you some hotels where we've been. And as you ask about a route, in Europe, like we started in Switzerland, and again, I can't show you every single hotel because it would be too much, but we started in Switzerland. That is Castello del Sole, the first hotel outside of our hometown where we've been to. And then we came to Italy, and that's what you see there's Fattoria San Martino in Montepulciano in Italy. It's run by a couple. It's a little villa. It's not huge. They have like 5, 6 rooms. And they renovated the whole house themselves, and they used to make their own wine, but they wanted to have a more sustainable lifestyle, which is why they started that little villa, and they cooked themselves. Everything is homemade, homegrown. They have a little, their own vegetable garden and everything. So it's very nice, and it's walking distance from Montepulciano. So if you like good red wine, that's one of the places to be, although like there are many in Italy, but that's definitely one of them. We also went to places like that one. That's Adler Spa Resort in Terme. It's like a really huge spa hotel in Italy. But as I said, sustainability, sustain yourself as well. So treat yourself well if you can. And sometimes, going to such a place can also be very, 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 very nice. This one is Relais San Maurizio in Santo Stefano Belbo. Also Italy. It's a very traditional place. It used to be, how do you say, monks used to live there? How do you call that in English?
A monastery. A monastery.
How? Monastery, yes. Yeah, that's what it was. But nowadays it's a hotel, and the owner of the place, it's a very wealthy person, I must say. But what he does is, and he does a great job there, cultural aspects, so art, for example. He supports artists, and the whole place is stuffed with different art pieces. And in what used to be the church of the hotel, of the monastery.
Yep.
They have shows for different artists every now and then. So they try to connect not only vacation, that you can go there and make your vacation, but it's also they want to connect you with art. Which is also an important aspect of our culture. So very nice. That's the view from that hotel. So it's directly in the wine hills. And then we drove down to Spain. That hotel is called Masquí, the energy house. Masquí is the Spanish word for energy. And there, they really take care of your body. Like you can do yoga, other treatments, and usually I'm not that type of person, but there was one lady, she held her hand above my head and everything else. And just she was not even touching me, but after that, she tried to feel my energy, and she knew exactly what was going on in my life. And I didn't tell her a thing. It felt a bit weird, but it does work. I can tell you that. And it's a very nice place in the middle of nowhere. So a very nice place to relax. And the owner has also quite some nice story, because her family runs a factory, and that factory produces new yarn from old fabrics. And they do that without putting water onto it, without adding chemicals. So it's really just by mixing the different materials, they make a new product. So it's also a very sustainable thing. And they do that for more than 50 years already, which is crazy. But it's a good thing, because, you know, also that's how we need to be more sustainable, reuse stuff that we had used before.
How did
That's
you,
very nice.
Ralph, let's see, Gaines Bagby is asking, how did she feel about the energy of the Tesla?
How I feel about the energy of the Tesla? Very good. It's very positive energy, I'd say.
Okay.
And it's very powerful, I know that. So what you see in that picture is Paraíso Escondido. Again, a very nice story. One of those stories that you don't know when you book such a place. It's run by a couple again, and they were both working in marketing in Portugal. So that's Portugal already. And they left their old careers and they bought that place, and they built, as you might guess that, but you don't really see it on the picture, but that house is not just standing on the ground, it's in the middle of the trees. So right on top of the trees, it's the same height as the tree crown, basically. And the reason is, what they try to do is that they try to reconnect you with the nature around you, which is why they place you in the middle of those trees and not just in a different spot. Very nice, very special. Again, middle of nature, and half an hour from there by car, you're at the beach. So really cool place. Paraíso Escondido. What you see there is that belongs to the Six Senses in Douro Valley. Like Six Senses, you may have heard that. It's a very, very expensive hotel. To add that, no, we have not been just in fancy places. We also have been to bed and breakfast places as well. And they're very, very nice ones too. But the reason I mentioned this place is that that was probably the most sustainable hotel on the whole tour. Because what you see there is a little laboratory where women can make their own cosmetics, for example, free of chemicals, only by natural stuff like oranges and whatever you see on the table. So they do that in order to train people. So when you go there for vacation, you can even learn something. And they have a similar laboratory for kids. So, you know, during the day, parents can bring their kids to that laboratory, and they learn everything about the environment, about sustainability, about how to, you know, how we should treat nature and how we can do things better. And I think that is really, really important to do, because yes, our generation has done a lot wrong. So we need to train the next generation to do it. And what's a better place than using a vacation for that, you know, where people are open-minded and have the time to hear that stuff. So very, very cool place.
Couple of questions for you, Ralph. All right. So the first was, did you have any maintenance that you had to do on your car while you were on your trip?
Yes. Yeah. We were like once in Amsterdam. I had to have the mileage check. So after a certain mileage, you have to bring it to service. We have done that on the trip. And it was very simple. We just called like the hotline, and we had to arrange for, you know, the normal appointment. At the time, you could not do it via the car. And we told them, look, we're on the trip. So they didn't know who we are and what we do. And they gave us an appointment in Amsterdam, because we said we're going to be close to there. And then we just had the appointment, brought the car, waited half a day, and picked the car up again and moved on. We did that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Two questions basically on supercharging. One is, can you discuss the Tesla worldwide charging network that allowed you to do this? And how much did you use superchargers versus destination chargers?
That's a very good question. But first of all, if you would have to guess how often we have charged outside the Tesla network.
Okay.
I know people cannot answer now, but I'm going to give you the answer. The answer is we would have had to charge 0 times outside the Tesla network. 0. There was no need. We
Wow.
charged once at a friend's place, at his normal plug-in, but it was just convenience and me being lazy, but we would not have had to do that. So superchargers and destination chargers would have been completely sufficient. The other thing is we used superchargers quite rarely. And even, sometimes we drove out and using a supercharger because we wanted to get connected to people. That was the reason why we stopped at superchargers. We wanted to talk to people. And that was also the reason why the car was having that design and layout, because we hope that by doing that, we get in touch with people we don't know in different countries.
Mm-hmm.
So why did we have to use so many superchargers? The reason for that is that we did not travel, like, let's say, on our traveling days, we were on the road for maybe 6 to 8 hours max. So usually it was sufficient to charge at the place where we stayed and, just go to the next place where we stayed, or maybe stop once in between. And sometimes, on travel days, it was only like 2 or 3 hours away. So there was no need for charging at all. So that's why, yeah. But it was very convenient at that time. Although in Italy, if you would go further than Rome, there it starts to be tricky, or it started. I don't know how it's now. It looks probably much better now, but at the time, up until Rome, okay, but further down, not so sure at that time. But nowadays, probably not even a problem anymore.
Got it.
What you see here is that's in France. Again, a very nice sample about what I mean by sustainability. It's a small castle in the middle of France, and again, it's run by a couple. So it's not a big, a huge hotel. Not a fancy place. They have 5 rooms. Again, number 5 came a lot of times with those small places. But they run it. They cook themselves, so they do everything. They are the cleaning person. They are the cook. They are the general manager. They're everything. But that little castle would fall apart if they wouldn't run it. And that's what I mean. Like, because they run it, the next generation and the generation after them can probably still enjoy that place. That's also part of what sustainability means. So it's not only an ecological topic. It's also that, and that is pure culture, because imagine who lived in that place before that. So when we sat at the fireplace that night, it's a very nice feeling to sit in such an old place and enjoy that.
Hey, Ralph, what do you think was your biggest mistake, and what would you have done differently?
Honestly, my personal biggest mistake was that it sounds crazy, but I wanted to do that project. I wanted to do that book. I wanted to share what I did with anyone else. But that meant that I lost a lot of time by doing this. The reason is, like, when you write a blog post, for example, and we started to do that, like when we drove through Europe, we wrote blog posts at the very beginning. Doing one blog post took us about 10 to 15 hours. And that was because we had to write it, we had to collect the information, we had to find the right pictures, we had to name the pictures, we had to put the pictures in the right place in the article online. And as if that would not have been enough, we translated the whole stuff to German. So we wanted to start in English only, because we knew that most people globally would talk English. But then a friend of us asked us, hey, can I do it in German? I don't speak English. So we said, okay. So we did that too. But after Italy, we realized we don't make it that. It was too much work. It was simply too much work. And the other thing is, like, every single place that you see on the map and that we visited, so all those 238 places, with every single place, we had an interview with the general manager. We had a run through the hotel. to do the pictures, the different categories of the hotel, because that's all information that we wanted to know about. We wanted to learn about what that place does with regards to sustainability, what Tesla means to them, how they like you as owners that come and see them, what the difficulties are, what the good things are. So easy, 2 hours per hotel for such an interview, plus the run through, and half a day is gone. And now imagine you arrive at a place at about 6 o'clock at night. You check in the next morning, half a day, you do this, then you want to enjoy the place. You have to, we wanted to do something for ourselves as well. And we did, of course. So yes, we had fun as well. It was not just work, but it reduces the amount of time that you really have to enjoy and experience what's around you. And every 2 or 3 days, we switched places. So every 2 and 3 or 3 days, we did that again, plus the articles, plus taking notes for the book and everything else. So yes, that said, if I would have to do something different about the trip, I would do the trip again, but I would do the work after the trip and not during the trip. That was my personal biggest mistake. And my advice for everyone, if you do something like this, wait with sharing, forget about Facebook, forget about Twitter, just do it and take it for yourself and enjoy it. And then after that, start writing a book or do something with that information.
Okay, I think at this point, we're probably gonna try and hold, you can put questions in the chat. We're gonna hold them to the end so you can get through it, Ralph.
Okay. So that was then the second part. It's quite a lot. That was the service appointment. Oh, I was actually wrong. It was in Brussels, not in Amsterdam, as I said. It was in Brussels. Sorry, my mistake. That was in Sylt, a German island. One of my favorite pictures, because look at this. Can you see what they've done to the destination charger? It's so cool. They built that little setup so that rain doesn't fall on it and everything else, and it's like the Tesla stands there like a horse, right? And the cool thing about that place is it used to be a farm, and the family transformed the farm into a hotel. So it's a very traditional Nordish kind of like building in that area, very traditional setup. You find those houses all over the island, and they have a huge parking place in front of the hotel. Now, what they did is they built it already in a way so that if EVs become more common, they simply just only need to, put in the cables and they're set. So they could park like, I don't know how many cars, but they could easily equip them all with chargers. And they did that years ago. So very, very cool. That's the island on the screen. It's a famous island in Germany. So if you come to Germany, Sylt is a very nice place, very Nordic. That hotel it's not so posh. It's not so posh. It's called Energy Hotelet. But the story behind the hotel is quite cool because it belongs to this, and that's a hydropower plant. And in the hotel, what's now a hotel in the old times, in the 50s and 60s, the hotel, the management of that power plant lived in those rooms. And the furniture is still the same old furniture from the 50s and 60s. They kept everything. So it's not posh, but it's really interesting. It has a lot of history. And as it's an electric power plant, the power that is produced there is produced for an aluminium factory. Now, guess who's buying aluminium in that factory? Da-da-da-da, Tesla. But we didn't know that. So we arrived there because we had to have a stopover, and sometimes not every place, or you don't find like such hotels that we've been looking for in every single place. But that hotel was nice because it was the only one that we could use that had a destination charger. We had to charge there, and then that story comes up, and it was like, okay, now we know why we're here. It's pretty cool. Oh, this I had to show you because that's the bed I slept best in during the whole trip. That's my favorite bed of the whole journey, and it's located in Norway in the so-called Storfjord Hotel. And as you can see, it sits on top of a mountain above a fjord in Norway. Very nice. They have block houses, and you just sleep like a baby. You can't see the window, the bed looks at, but behind those windows there were just trees. So you looked into the forest and it was just green. Everything was green. And that bed, I could have stayed there forever. That's not Japan, although it looks like Japan. Again, that's Sweden, the Yasuragi. It's a Japanese style bath hotel. Also very nice, and again, very sustainable. So for example, you get the typical Japanese dress when you arrive, but it's for you to take away. And it's made that well that you can keep it. It's not a one time and I use it one time and throw it away thing. It's really, they want you to use it and keep it using. So you have to be dressed like that in the bath as well. So everyone there is wearing pretty much the same. And the reason behind that is that they don't want different classes of guests. So they want people to enjoy themselves without that, I wear this and I look better because I have that type of thing. So everyone's the same when you're there as a guest. And as I mentioned, we have been to small places. That was the smallest hotel on our tour. It's in Sweden. It's a one-room bed and breakfast called Niva 84. And the owner is a politician in the area. He lives in the house next to it that you see on the picture as well, a little bit from the house. But this is what you get when you stay there. So you look outside the window and you have a huge lake in front of you, and the sun comes up and goes down in front of your window, same place. So you can enjoy that every single day and you have that view. It's gorgeous. And price for that hotel was, I think, 150 euros a night. So completely, reasonable pricing. Okay, that was Europe. But I promised to John I would add something from the other continents. I will try to be a little faster because I don't want to bore you guys with all those pictures. So first of all, I try to say thank you as well, New Zealand, especially to Haley Davy-Jones and Nick Bishop. Nick rented us his car, the Model X, and we basically did a second tour. So we drove through both islands twice, once on our own in the Model X, and the second time we took part in New Zealand's so-called Supercharger Rally that is organized by the club every year. And Haley took us with her in her Model S, and she's a gorgeous woman, very, very, very kind. She just got her second kid 2 weeks ago, 1 week ago, 1 or 2 weeks ago. Yeah, very cool family. And those were the car that we used there. Now, here are some roads from New Zealand so that you get an idea how they look like over there. Taupo Thermal Wonderland, they have thermal water and there's a lot of thermal activity around. So kind of like New Zealand sits on a volcano if you want. It was very interesting, very nice. Another very fancy destination charger on the right at the Gadrona Hotel. So some hotels really put a lot of effort into like building nice looking destination chargers. Yeah, so that looks like an old fuel pump style destination charger. On the bottom, Cathedral Grove, there will come another picture on the next slide. That was one of my favorite spots in New Zealand and one of the first ones we drove to. It's at a beach. And the guys that we met on that beach told us that, a couple of days before we came there, an orca whale were crossing just outside that stone, a little bit behind that stone there. Really, really lovely place. And the view of down to Queenstown from a hotel that we visited as well. On the right, that's Cathedral Cove again. So it's called Cathedral Cove because you walk through that cove that you can kind of like guess from looking at the picture, and then you arrive at this kind of secret beach behind it. Very beautiful spot. And Abel Tasman National Park on the right-hand side. That's I can't go back. That's on the South Island. So it's said that the north of New Zealand is where most people live and work, and the south is where the more you get south, the brighter the nature gets. That's what it says. But it's really worth visiting both islands should you ever travel there, and take a month off. You need 1 month in New Zealand because you know, you don't want to leave it again. You don't want to leave it again. Trust me. It was hard for me to leave. So where did we start? Cook's Gateway Lodge. I fell in love with that hotel when we arrived, and it was very funny because at that time we had that idea, should we maybe open up an own place, like our own little hotel, and do what all the others did that we met in Europe, you know, just jump out of our old world and jump into a little hotel business or something. And we arrived at this place, and the owner of the hotel, he hears us talking about that, and he goes like, "Oh, I'm selling." And we're like, "What?" Now, that's what you get when you have that place, is that view. I was in the morning, early in the morning. It's a lovely place. So you see the seas down there. You could hear the waves from the hotel. You have the mountains in the background. It was one of the most amazing spots on earth that I knew. But of course, buying was not an option for us, really far too expensive. And we also know New Zealanders, but we were thinking about it hard. Maybe due to COVID, it was a better choice not to do it. But yeah, a lovely place. And still run as a hotel. Abel Tasman Lodge, it's on the South Island. Not a posh place, but very nice. Very down to earth people, very friendly, very open. Not know you, so you can tell them not to disturb you while you sleep. And they had very cool houses as well. So they were built round, not like normal houses. The Cadrona, that's where you saw the destination charger on the other picture a little earlier. So it was a typical kind of like stopover place for travelers in the past, and there's still that old car. The Halbert House, very traditional, as you can see, so totally completely different style to other hotels that we had seen. And in Christchurch, the Echo Villa, they did not have a charger at the time when we arrived. And there will also be probably a question later on how many hotels did have a charger and how many did not have, and what did we do when they did not have a charger, but I'll answer that later. But they didn't have a charger, so they gave us a plug through the window, which did work perfectly fine. So a lot of hotels will take care of you if you ask them. That was the experience that we had on the way. And last but not least, I want to mention the factory. Factory had a very cool owner. There's a little video that I didn't manage to bring into that presentation, but he liked the Model X so much and the X dance that it does. And he had a Batman costume. So they were telling us about his cool Batman costume. Again, it was one of those family owned businesses. And we sat with the owner's couple one night and had a glass of wine. And so he started to tell us about that costume, and it was a serious costume. I tell you, he looked like Batman, seriously. And we did a video with him in his costume with the Black Model X, and he did like with his arms when the car doors opened and closed. It was fantastic. You can look at it online. It's on our channel somewhere on the Twitter account. It's fabulous, really fabulous. Now the next stop after New Zealand was Australia. As you can see, we only drove along the coast, so we did not make it to the middle of Australia, and that's definitely something that you should not do with an electric car today. Whether it will ever be possible or not, different story. I know people who have done it, so yes, it is possible, but not under normal circumstances. So you need to find very creative ways of charging if you want to do that. But Mark gave us the card that you see in the picture. So thank you, Mark, from Tesla Owners Club Australia for that. He was the one who gave us the car for 3 months. He was also the one who said when we gave the car back, he got it back in better condition than he gave it to us. So that's probably the biggest compliment for us that we could have hoped for. And the guys from the club did something special. They branded the car for us. So on the side, it had our logo, like on our European car, and they had the map on the front. That was really cool. It was quite a big surprise when we arrived there. On the left-hand side, you see Canberra. Canberra is the capital city from Australia, and we joined a ride, a convoy basically that went to Canberra from Melbourne, we joined them to stop Adani. Adani was an Indian investor who, opened a coal mine in the country. The bad thing about that is that the coal mine is not good. The other thing is he just, would have taken, and he took, or he now takes, because he actually got through with it. Unfortunately, he takes the coal out of the country and then it's burned in India, which is also not a good idea. But yeah, so we will also try to support such an initiative while we were on the trip. On the second picture from the left, you see our car and the kangaroo. So Australia, I can tell you, a lot of kangaroos. There are more kangaroos in Australia than people. And as nice as they look, they're really, really dangerous, because the picture below, as soon as the sun starts to go down, the kangaroos come out. And we were told that kangaroos are stupid. So they do hop, hop, and all of a sudden they hop left or right. So even if you pass them very slowly, and they must hear you, and they do hop, hop, bong, and hit your car, just like that. So it's really, really dangerous to drive around after the sun goes down. And there are many of them everywhere. The next picture, Tesla Road Assist service at its best. That's a little story by itself, because what happened there was we were driving on that road, and then on the other side of the street, there was an accident. And due to that accident, something jumped over to our side, something sharp, and a few hundred meters later, our tire was flat, completely flat. Now, I called the service from Tesla, and I had a lady on the phone from Utah. And it wasn't our car, so Mark had to call her as well to let her know that it's okay that we talk to her. That was fine. And then she knew exactly where we was, of course. So she analyzed it from Utah in Australia, where we stood. And she said, well, listen, a new tire will be on the way, but it will take probably 1 hour to get to you. We were like, yeah, okay, no problem. As Swiss people are, we trust. Sure, no problem. But there was a truck driver on the other side of the road that you don't see on that picture. And it was one of those huge Australian heavy duty trucks. And he came over and said, hey, can I help you guys? And we're like, no, it's all good. Tesla service will bring us a new tire. And he said, yeah. The last time I waited 6 hours for a tire for me to arrive. So you better be prepared. And we were like, oh no, 6 hours? Jesus, no. Then it gets dark and then the kangaroos come out. No. What happened was 60 minutes later, on the point, we had our new tire installed on the car and we're good to go. I couldn't believe it. So, and again, they did not know what we do. They did not know about the project. It was just the best service ever, knowing that not everything is always as good as this, but that worked really completely well. So I was really happy about that. Superchargers on the right, you see a little map, like those were the superchargers on the way in Australia. And above the last one on the top, they had the electric superhighway. So there were other charger infrastructure that we could use to make it up there as well. But in the rest of the country, very little to none. Also in the middle of the country, there are none. The others, just some impressions. We love those roads. The 12 Apostles, a very nice scene. It's a very touristy place, of course, very crowded. But for that sort of picture, you just take that, but you still go and you just have to see it. So nature is really, really beautiful. And most of the time, a lot of times, I know it from myself, you walk around and you don't realize what you're up to. You don't realize what you see and what you have around you. Even here in Switzerland, what's in front of your door is probably the most beautiful stuff, but you don't take the time to see it. So one advice, no matter where you are in the world, take the time, go out, open your eyes and check what's around you, because it is beautiful and it's a present for all of us. I'm not a priest, I'm just saying it's gorgeous, and you realize it when you do it. The more you do it, the more you realize. And on the right-hand side, that's Nicole being very happy because it was her weather, hot as hell, palms around her. So, and everything we don't have in Switzerland on that picture, everything is on there. And they can see also the branding that the club did for us. So that was really, really cool, really kind. So some places in Australia, and as I show you those pictures, the hotel quality in the world is very different. So to be fair, and I'm not saying it because I'm from Europe, but I would say in Europe, the hotel quality is probably highest compared to other places. In other places, if you want a nice place, it quickly becomes very expensive. In Europe, the prices are reasonable in most places. But in Australia in particular, like if we wanted to have a very, very nice place, it has a very, very nice price. But here are some that were reasonable and nice. Clifftop at Hepburn was very cool that that guy built them from old containers. The whole hotel is built of containers, and he has a Tesla charger. And if you look at the picture with the charger, there's also a kangaroo sitting there. So they're set there everywhere. And inside it did not look like a container at all, as you can tell by the other pictures. So it was very, very nice place. Bungalow luxury villas. Again, that was a couple who started their own business, and they built those villas that you could purchase. You can buy them or you can rent them. And yeah, they started their business by, I think they built 12, and 6 of them they sold and run for the owners, and the other 6 they run for themselves. It's also a way to make your business. And that picture I like because of the sun in the background and the clouds. Just some impressions. Under Mandala luxury bed and breakfast. The luxury of that place, again, it's an owner-run place. So it's not luxury in the sense of 5-star, but it's 5-star because of the owners who run it and the way you're treated. A very nice place and very nice people. Tingirana in Nusa, they did not have a charger, but we connected them. So I hope in the meantime they have one. But it was one of the very nice hotels in Nusa. We also took part in Nusa at the EV Expo. So there was an expo and we were helping the local Tesla owner clubs there, and stayed in that place during that time. And again, one of Nicole's favorite places, a beach resort called Kevara at the very top of our journey. And now, last but not least, we come to your home country. So Canada and the United States. There are a lot of people helped us out. So Safta from British Columbia in Canada, Kevin Bellinger and Julian Sale from the Tesla Owners Clubs in Vancouver. Ryan, who's also on this meeting. Thanks, Ryan, for your car. He's San Francisco based. He used to work for Tesla at the time, but also rents his cars on Turo. And Svetlana and Dave, who are also in this meeting right now, from Texas, Houston, where we picked up the car for the last part of our journey. And as you can tell by the map, by the way, do you see my mouse as well, or do you only see?
No, yeah, you can see it.
See my mouse moving, yeah? Okay,
Yeah.
so we flew into Canada first, and the reason for that was simply that we knew we could only like enter the United States once for 3 months, and after that we need to leave the country no matter what. So that's why we started in Canada, but we could not go back and forth like this. We could only start here and then enter once and, you know, drive to where we wanted to leave. And what we did is the way we traveled was, so we did Canada, completed that, then we flew down here to San Francisco and did a round trip here. So we stayed in the touristy areas. And the other thing was that every car that we used, we had to bring back. So we tried to get a car from here that we could drive down there, but that wasn't possible because Julian had to have his car back, obviously, so we couldn't return it. That's why we had to take a plane at that stage. And the same here, Ryan's car, we could not use to continue the trip and travel over here by car. So what we had to do is we had the chance to join the Tesla Owners Club President's meeting. So we had a wild card for that because Tesla heard what we did, and William Masterson runs the program, invited us to join, and there we met Dave, and Dave was so kind to offer his Model 3, but his Model 3 was in Houston. So what we did was we flew to Houston from Los Angeles, had to take another plane, picked up his car, and Dave was very, very kind because he worked for NASA. And so we could use his car for the trip to Miami. And then in Miami, Dave has family as well. So, and again, like, you know, NASA is there too. So he flew down, picked up his own car and drove it back home. Now, stuff like that is something we definitely never expected from no one. Things like that typically happen when you travel backpacker style, but it doesn't happen if you travel like this. And you know, by birth I'm German, and I can tell you there's not a single German person that would, you know, just give your car to you, because people usually, there's a saying, we don't share cars and wives, you know, or husbands. But it did happen to us, and we very, very, I cannot put it any different. We're just so grateful that it happened, because it made that all possible. Here's some impressions. Like, those are all the cars that we used, and here we were at Daytona Beach, Sedona, Red Rock State Park, and for example, stuff like that. Your national parks in the United States. I know we met some people, and they told us, "Oh, we live 2 hours away from a national park, but we've never been there in our life." And I was like, "What?" So that's what I mean. You have all that nature in front of your door. Go see it, because it's worth it. It's really worth it. That was Canada. Just 2 impressions. I love that lake. Don't ask me for the name of that lake. I need to look it up. But I found the picture and I thought, okay, I need to show this to you, because it was like a mirror. There was not a single wave on that lake. Look at that. It's so cool, so gorgeous. And some mountains as well. So on the left-hand side is Yoho National Park, and on the right-hand side is Glacier National Park. So those national parks are really worth going to in every country. And then your roads in the United States. I love the US roads. Like those endless highways, we simply don't have that in Europe. Like there you can travel for an hour and you don't see another car. In Europe, no way, no way. But
Yeah, you just haven't driven on Pennsylvania roads. You wouldn't like them as much.
Well, told you my cousin lives in New York, so I come see you at some point.
Yep. Yeah, we'll show you. We'll show you the meaning of potholes.
Okay. Now again, let me show you some places we've been to. A little quicker. You find all those on our website, so you can, you know, those links guide you directly to the hotel. We don't get anything for that, so it's completely free. We don't earn any money from that, so just go there and have that information, because that's what we did it for. We did it for you, so please use it. Pacific Sands Beach Resort, I mean, the beach behind there that you see, they have like, how do you say, on the right, hang on, where's my mouse? How do you call that, where you lie in and do this?
A hammock?
Yeah. So they have those on the beach, lots of them. Super cool. Very comfy. That's Mike Wiegele. Mike Wiegele is a heli-skiing resort. Now you might ask me, why are we going to a heli-skiing resort? And how far is heli-skiing sustainable? Now, heli-skiing by itself, not sustainable. Flying helicopters, not sustainable. Why do we still list Mike there? Mike is a guy, he turned 80 last year. He came to Canada 50 years ago. And he started that heli-skiing idea just by himself. And he connected with all the people, with the natives that live there. And now he's responsible for all the mountains that you see on that picture. So he makes sure that the forests stay fine, that the trees are taken care of. Someone needs to do that sort of work. And now he does all of that with his helicopters. And I think he runs more than 1,000 ski slopes. Well, if I say slopes, it's not traditional slopes, because it's all natural slopes. So it's a crazy resort, and they have, I mean, that is summer, but in wintertime, that place is packed, really packed. But the good thing is that they take care about they care for the environment, and someone needs to do that job. And that's why I'm saying sustainability has indeed different phases. And something that appears to be not sustainable at the very first moment can be very sustainable when you take a second look, and the other way around. So it's always worth taking a second look, and look what they did to the Cha-Cha. So very nice. They have log houses there as well, very beautiful log houses. Another hotel, the Moose Hotel and Suites. It's more, well, I would say it's not special from a, it's a bigger hotel, but it was a very nice place. If you go to that area, that place is worth going to, but no special story from me in that case. I mentioned Laguna Beach. It's in the back. It's in a valley. It's very hidden, and that makes it very unique. There's a golf course as well. So for anyone who's playing golf, they have a very nice one. And other than that, it's very, very hidden, so no one would find you there, but very relaxed surrounding. Holiday House in Palm Springs. Should you ever come to Palm Springs, the Holiday House is a 50s style hotel, like it was in the 50s and 60s, and they kept that style, but everything is very clean and modern and new. It's just about the style. Also a nice pool, and trust me, you need it there because it was damn hot. Sorry for the damn, it was really hot. Casa Sedona Inn, again, totally different styling of the hotel, but they do have a destination charger. The Peter and Paul in New Orleans, I like that place a lot because it's in a church. So the whole hotel is a church, and they have the huge church itself, and then again I can't speak the word, monastery next to it, and you sleep in beds like you feel like a monk when you sleep there, because you have like small rooms with that monk type bed, so very easy, very clean, and you're in the middle of New Orleans, and New Orleans was fabulous. I definitely want to go there again, because you can do great parties there and have good fun and music. Kate Shepherd's house, very traditional place, run by an old lady, and she keeps it the way the house always was, in Mobile. And last but not least, so we finalized basically with the Seminola Hard Rock Hotel and Casino. That guitar is really crazy. I've never seen something like that before. People who haven't seen it, there are also videos on our Twitter accounts. The whole guitar lights up to music. Last but not least, I want to show that. Welcome to France and Cybertruck. So that was another thing that happened. We had an invite to the Cybertruck Unveil event, and I still have this. I don't know if can you see it?
Yep.
That's my entry card on the Cybertruck Unveil. That's how it looked like. And I stood about 2 meters away from Franz when he hit the glass of the Cybertruck. And my face was probably quite white at that point in time, but it was the greatest marketing that could ever have done for that car. And that's also where we met him again. So that night I had the chance to talk to him on that stage where we took that picture. And I let him know about the trip that we've done, but he was probably more worried about what Elon will do to him because of the window. Everything's fine. But he got a copy of the book too, and so does Elon. So both of them got a copy. I sent it to them. Don't know whether they've seen it or not. That's a different story, but they definitely had it under the Christmas tree, so to say. Yeah. So that was it from my side.
Excellent.
And I thank you very much. I hope it wasn't too long.
No, not at all. As a matter of fact, I'm posting in the chat for you guys. If you want to just copy the link, there's a link to Ralph's website. So that might be the easier way to go through there. Why don't you unshare your screen, Ralph, and then we have a couple of questions backed up in here. Okay. Let me get back here. All right, so what did we miss? Aside, someone did complain that you skipped Texas.
Actually, you know what? We would have loved to. We would have. I promise. Hear that? I promised you the next time I come to the United States, I will come to Texas. And if I like, if Elon would ask me where I would want to work,
Austin.
Texas.
And did you run into any difficulty driving on the other side of the road?
Sorry, again?
Did you have any trouble when you had to drive on the opposite side of the road in a few places?
I would say trouble. It's just a matter of getting used to it. So me personally, I had that experience before because I studied in Northern Ireland when I was younger. So there I had to switch as well. But it takes you, I'd say it takes you 2 days and then you're good. At the beginning, it's a little weird, but then it's fine.
Okay. Are you? You have a note in here. You know, you have a Tesla to drive next time you're in Texas. So sounds like you're all set there.
Oh, super.
Yeah. Are you planning any trips to the U.S.? The New York and the New York State Club was curious if you're planning anything in the Northeast.
Well, the thing is, generally, I would love to come. I mean, right now it's COVID, so that was the other thing. We were quite lucky that we finalized everything basically before COVID started. And nowadays, what we have done is probably not even possible anymore for the next, I don't know how many years. But as I have family in the United States, I would definitely love to come over again. And I love to see as many as you as I can, because it's all about the community, and that's why we did it. It's for you. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, but yeah, Becky wants to make sure you include New Hampshire, Vermont, and Maine if you do that.
Okay, I've been skiing in New Hampshire once. Actually, I have a friend of mine. He used to work for. Oh, hang on, it's an airline. He used to work for. Anyway, I forgot the name. But he used to work for an airline, and he always organized the ski week for that airline people. And he invited me when I was very young, so I used to ski in New Hampshire.
Yeah, well, that's probably not all that comparable to skiing potential you have where you are. So, but all righty, let's see. Any other questions for Ralph? Ralph, I mean, I can't thank you enough for doing this. I think everybody enjoyed it. Becky's really disappointed that you ended that so quickly. And apparently now we have a place in Sedona with a Tesla charger for anyone traveling. That's cool.
Before we finalize, I have something for you guys, and I just came up with a little.
Oh yeah, I almost forgot.
Sorry, now? No worries. No, because I was just thinking, like if you want to get the travel guide, because I have some copies on the ground in the United States, which makes the shipping much cheaper than to ship it from Europe. So should you order it, and anyone who orders the book tonight, actually John will pick a random number and he will give that number to me, and then I pick that person because I see the order. And I pick that person, and that person will get a book, but I will ship it from Europe in that case, and I will write something nice in the book for that person, and I will put something into the package. It's something you cannot buy. It is our logo from the trip. I have only 5 of these left, and it's the original foil that was on our car, that we used on our car, that's like you would do the wrap from. So you cannot purchase that anywhere. It's just limited edition, so to say, and I will put it into the package as well.
Okay.
So all you need to do is put it aside, and then you'll have a chance to get that.
So I'm picking lucky number 7. So the 7th person that buys a book tonight gets that.
Okay.
How's that? He wrote it down now, so that's it. Yeah, and actually, and I wouldn't, I have my copy sitting right here. And I know there's a couple of folks on here that, I know Vic Winstead's got his. And I would encourage everybody out there to pick up a copy. One, I mean, I think to support Ralph's efforts. I mean, because obviously this was not a profitable venture for Ralph. And the other is because it's really a great book. I've been wrapped up in it for a couple of days now. So if you get a chance, grab it. I guess as a final, I'd like to, John's holding his up. There you go. As a final, I would like to thank everybody that's on here. You know, as I was sitting here, I realized, you know, we're stretching here from New Zealand to Switzerland on this call. And it's really so amazing at what we all have in common and how easy it is to make something like this come together. So I can't thank you enough. The Owners Club of Pennsylvania, Maryland, New York State, Austin, and San Antonio, all thank you for everything you guys are doing to continue Tesla's mission. And I can wish you a great rest of your weekend. And
thank you very much for having me.
Yep, and now you can all come off mute and applaud.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ralph. Thanks, Ralph. Cheers.
Thanks, Ralph.
Thank you so much.